Welcome to this short training, Admin Part 1, Account Settings. The purpose of this particular training section is to learn how to manage the global preferences for your Prophecy account, including retesting features, visibility of assessment results, assessment expiration times, as well as completion notifications. If you are an administrator, once you're logged into your Prophecy account, on the top right-hand side of the screen, you will find the Company Information section underneath the Settings drop-down. This Company Info tab is going to store all of the main settings to be able to manage the preferences for your Prophecy account. On the left-hand side of this page, you are able to update your company name as well as billing information at any time. But the right-hand side is where we're going to focus to ensure that your account is set up in a way to maximize the usage to meet your needs. The first option under General Settings is whether or not you would like the test takers to see their exam scores as soon as they complete an assessment. This particular checkbox is speaking only about clinical exams. If you are using our behavioral and situational components, by default, your test takers will never be able to see those assessment results unless you share them with them directly. This is referring only to the actual clinical competency exams. So if this feature is turned on, once a test taker completes an assessment, they will be able to see that the assessment's completed, their score, and link directly into the results pages to get further information. If you would not like them to have access to this information, including missed questions and areas for development, you would want to make sure that you uncheck this box and turn off their ability to see the assessment scores. The second option on here is whether or not you would like your organization's name to appear on the results pages. If you leave this option turned on, for each assessment completed, you will always be able to see your organization's name on the top of the screen, and it will print on each assessment results page as well. The third general setting is whether or not you would like your information to show on the dashboard. So on the dashboard view, you do have the option of whether users are going to be able to see how many assessments have been sent and how many have been completed and how many you have remaining. So it is an option to allow other users within the organization to be able to keep a tight control on what you've purchased and how many assessments you have remaining. The fourth option within General Settings is whether or not you would like your caregivers to be shared between departments. In this particular demo account, we can see multiple different departments set up. If I'm a manager logging into the ICU department, I would, by default, only be able to see those test takers that are associated with the ICU department. You will learn how to manage these settings for the departments in the next video, Admin Training Part 2. However, if by default you would like the ability for your users in these different departments to share caregivers between the departments, then you would simply check users can share caregivers with other departments. Remember, we do have the option to set exactly what can be shared between which departments in the next video when you're managing your department. The fifth option within General Settings is going to be whether or not your users can change their password. Users are going to be those internal users that you've set up to access Prophecy. So these are not your test takers, but rather recruiters or managers or anyone that you've given access to log into Prophecy to either administer assessments or pull results. If you'd like them to be able to change their password, manage that password on their own, you simply check this box. However, even if this box is checked, you as an administrator do have the ability to reset these passwords for them at any time. The next setting we have is a really neat auto resend feature. For each of the clinical assessments that you send, each exam is going to have its own unique NGOF score, which is the legally defensible pass-fail score for the clinical assessments. For example, on this particular results page, we can see Anita Nurse needed a 73 to pass, and she got a 70. Her score is in red, indicating that she did not meet the minimum pass-fail score. So with that particular resend feature, in this case, if you have turned that feature on, Prophecy will automatically re-administer this assessment one time, giving that nurse an automatic ability to retest for your organization. If, for example, the test is Med-Surg Exam A that she didn't pass the first time, it will automatically reassign Med-Surg Exam B and give the alternative version of the exam for your test taker. So for those organizations that do allow for at least one retest option, this saves the time and allows your organization to automatically reassign this assessment so your nurse can go ahead, look at the results, study, and complete that assessment for you a second time. If you choose not to use the auto resend feature, from the dashboard view, your users will have the ability to manually click resend for any clinical assessment so that you can still easily resend assessments manually. If the resend feature is used either way, you will always be able to see when that assessment was resent from the dashboard, as well as there will be a resend log within the test taker view as well. The next feature that we're going to take a look at are the results notifications when any assessments are completed. Here you have a toggle option between getting an exam notification, which is an email, after each assessment is completed, versus getting just one notification when all assignments are completed. So for example, let's say you're sending out a behavioral exam, a situational assessment, and 2 clinical exams. You can get 4 emails after completions if you would like to be notified each time each particular piece is completed. So if we choose the top option, we're going to get an email after each clinical exam is completed, after the behavioral assessment is completed, and again after the situational assessment is completed. This particular way works well if you're trying to track progression of your applicants and gather that information as it comes in. The second option, if it's selected, will allow you just to get one email notification as soon as all 4 components are completed. So for this particular option, if you really just want to get notified when everything is done instead of the progression through, this particular option would certainly cut down on emails and still notify you as soon as everything's completed. Keep in mind that either way, you can always log into Prophecy and look and pull results as needed, or kind of get an update on where people are with their test taking. The last feature within general settings is going to be an expiration date. So for any assessments that are sitting out there that are not completed, you're able to put in an expiration date to have Prophecy automatically delete those assessments for you. This allows you to kind of keep your Prophecy account clean and not have assessments sitting out there years and years that are not taken. So you can choose based on your organization's policies and procedures how long this particular expiration date is. So for example, if you want to give someone 30 days to complete the assessment, you would change this to 30. You would be able to, communicate with the test takers. They can complete the assessments at any point within those 30 days. But on day 31, Prophecy is going to automatically delete those assessments. So if you really like to keep a tight rein, the lower the number is, of course, the shorter time period that test taker has to complete the assessment. Do keep in mind that if you set this pretty low, let's say you set it to a week, and the test taker has some type of circumstance that they need to go out of town or need extra time, this is a global setting, and you cannot override this just for one test taker. You would actually have to re-administer them the exam after this expiration date. So again, you can make this as long or as short as you'd like. One important thing to note, no matter what you do within here with your settings, as soon as you come in and make changes, it's very important to hit Update Changes at the bottom of the screen and see that green bar that those changes have been saved. This indicates that your settings have been set up and any changes that you've made are stored within the system. Thank you for attending Admin Training Part 1. We hope you'll continue to watch Admin Training Part 2, where we're going to focus in on continuing to set up your Prophecy account and manage your departments and users.